Episode 1 of Cape Fear begins with us in Savannah, Georgia. Anna Bowden is working as a lawyer and has a good life with her husband Tom, a fellow prosecutor, and they live with their two kids, Natalie and Zach. Zach is a bit estranged from his folks though after an incident that occurred at school last year. He's been withdrawn for a while, and Tom speaks to his son about this later in the afternoon. Tom broaches the idea of him moving schools, but Zach pushes his dad away, pointing out how they used to help poor people and now they've shifted across to wealthy clients and seemingly lost sight of their true purpose. While this is going on, we cut across to a woman sobbing, writing out a suicide note. Her walls are covered in newspapers, with many mentioning a guy called Max Cady given a life sentence. She sticks a gun in her mouth and pulls the trigger. Now an unknown number rings through, and despite shooting herself, this woman is actually still alive. She answers the phone and admits she did it, and through the man's guidance, raises the gun once more and takes a second shot, which does the trick. We then cut forward 2 weeks later. Over at Tarwater State Prison in Georgia, inmate Max Cady is released. He's apparently been exonerated here, and Anna was very much a part of his case, and we soon learn to what extent later in the episode. For now, the family find a bunch of skunks that have been dropped in Anna's pool, interrupting a big interview she's right in the middle of. And Noah rings and reminds her that the upcoming SJLP fundraiser is a big deal, and someone called Byron needs to be there. When Anna heads over to Byron's, who's living with his mum Bunny, he's a bit jittery about leaving. She talks him around to showing at the office to meet the team, and they follow along with her. Now as they arrive, Noah brings Tom and Anna into her office. As she explains that a woman who killed herself earlier in the episode was actually Max Cady's mistress. She's left a confession saying that she's the one who killed Max's wife, and they've even found the murder weapon there too, a knife that was never recovered at the time. Every detail in her note lines up to what happened, which is why Max has been released. This news has been kept away from the press so far, but it's about to hit the mainstream news shortly. Noah decides they should use this to their advantage, using Max Cady as a tool to reinforce their message about fighting against corruption. This obviously sends the family on edge. At this point, we learn this isn't any ordinary murder. Now Max was charged with killing his pregnant wife. In fact, he stabbed her so many times that he even found stab marks on her bones. He then dumped her in Angola Swamp, where gators ate most of her body. Anna was very much a part of this case, as we knew from earlier on, and she was actually working as Max's lawyer. She was also pregnant at the time when this went through, and she got all the way to closing before cutting a deal with the prosecution. A couple of months later, Anna then wound up leaving her husband for the prosecutor on the other side of the courtroom, which happens to be none other than Tom. This muddies the water completely, and it also explains why Max Cady might want to come after the family. When Zach leaves the house at 5 AM and doesn't say anything to the others, Natalie tries to find her brother. It would appear that he's been talking to some girl online and is withdrawn from most of his other friends as a result. Anna heads out to pick up Byron for the fundraiser, but both he and Bunny appear to be missing. Their house is empty, but Noah rings not long after. Max Cady has been in touch and wants to talk to Anna that night. During a big speech up on stage, Anna is shocked when Max Cady shows, ominously stepping out the shadows. He requests a mic from Anna and talks about the meat grinder of the criminal justice system and how it can make you lose trust in the institutional systems. Apparently, there are no hard feelings toward Anna. Now after the fundraiser, Anna catches up to Max, who shows off a rather nasty scar on his skull. He also explains that he's lost a lot of his hearing and sight too. His brain glitches on occasion now, and he was even in a coma at one point for 6 weeks too. Eventually, Max explains that Noah wants him to be part of the organisation, and he claims to be there to help them. At that night, the alarm goes off again back home, and after a brief encounter with a panther, Max stalks out from the shadows and shows off Anna's purse. He wanted to return it personally after she left it at the gala. Now as they talk, he admires what she and Tom have built together. Zach finally returns to the house after being missing all day, but he's completely out of it. He's clearly taken something, and even worse, we learn that Anna and Max have a secret too. We don't know what that is right now, but Max does mention that he never told anyone. Now inside the house, Anna notices that Zach's toe has been removed completely. With his foot covered in blood, Anna realises with horror that Max's earlier speech at the fundraiser about fingers and toes could well be referencing this. Is Max out for blood after all? Episode 2 of Cape Fear begins with a flashback to 7 years ago. Max is in prison with a number of other inmates in the gym. However, he's a target from a particularly nasty group of individuals. He's beaten down, but Max more than holds his own, grabbing the gym equipment and killing them all, one by one. And Max doesn't come away completely unscathed though, as he does take a rather nasty blow to the skull for his troubles. This seems to be what caused his coma and why his brain has been glitching lately. Back in the present, Zach is taken to hospital, but he's still out of it. Whilst there, Anna also notices Max is here too with a dislocated finger after being apprehended by the cops. Anna listens from behind the curtain before revealing herself to him. She notices the tattoos all over his body and decides they should talk alone. Anna confronts Max here and accuses the guy of drugging her son and cutting his toe off. Max feigns ignorance and bitterly retorts that Anna is lucky that she's now got everything she wants after they shared so much in common, including difficult childhoods. Now, while the folks are at the hospital, Natalie invites over her friend to their place to smoke, and as they explore the house, which is still undergoing renovations, they find a possum and what looks to be a weird ritual with candles. Natalie also steps in blood too, and this seems to be where Zach had his toe cut off. Now at the hospital, a psychiatrist shows up to see Zach. Tom speaks to her first and explains that last year Zach had a girlfriend called Sophia and they shared intimate pictures with each other. He was on a small group chat with friends at the time, and one of them told Sophia about the pictures. Zach did apologise to her, but the school decided to make an example of him. Just then, Zach winds up choking and he eventually wrenches up his toe. The theory here is that Zach did this to himself and bit his toe off, but Anna is convinced that this is Max's doing. And while Tom stays with Max at the hospital, Anna heads home and speaks to Natalie. After handing over Zach's phone, which she found at that strange ritualistic area in the house, she receives a call from Noah. It turns out Bunny and Byron have killed themselves. Apparently there was some sort of altercation and a couple of gunshots, but Anna is convinced this isn't the full story. Now at the same time we learn that another of Anna's clients, Ruben, wants to drop his appeal. He's due to be executed in 6 weeks and Noah wants Anna to go and talk to him. Right now, the focus is on Zach being discharged from hospital though. Now while Anna wants to press him and try to get some answers, Tom isn't so sure this is the right time for that. Well, Anna tricks Zach into unlocking his phone and reads through the messages with this girl while Tom calms Zach down. Now Anna's father, Brandon, shows up that night and drops off some football boots for Natalie. He's late for her birthday and there's no love lost between him and Anna either. Nobody else sees him other than Tom, who's already on edge about movement outside the house. Tom sees the old man off and decides not to say anything to his wife and keeps everything under wraps, knowing it's not the ideal time for this. Now given Anna is obsessed with finding out the truth, she takes herself away and begins sifting through all the information she can find on Zach's new girlfriend. Tom comes to see her and urges his wife to be there for Zach, because that's the most important thing right now. And Max gets himself a dog and shows up at the prison to see Ruben. He tells Ruben that his pain has meaning and decides he has a greater purpose than just dipping out and giving up on life. And back home, Tom tries to talk Anna around to dropping his Max situation and getting back to normal. While she's loath to give up so quickly, they won't be getting rid of Max that easily. After the situation at prison, Ruben has changed his mind about the appeal, and Max is all set to do an interview with the Times as well. Within this interview, Max talks about his difficult home life, including how his mum killed herself when he was 13. He was then sent to America to live with his father, and he couldn't even speak English at this point. His father was breeding dogs and had a brand new family. Max had to grow up quickly in this environment, needing to adapt and learn how to be strong. His whole life he wanted a family of his own, and he explains at this point that he's a patient man and just getting started. Anna, upon hearing those words, realises that it mirrors precisely what Zach's new girlfriend has been saying on those messages. Anna spirals and believes that Max may well be catfishing her son. As she and Tom talk about what they did in the past, Natalie ends up overhearing this from the hallway. We still don't quite know what that secret may be, but we do know that Max is pretty unhinged. The final scene cuts to him looking set to purchase a massive house. As the camera spins, we see that his brain is glitching and he sees his dead wife and son before him. So after the drama in the first episode, this follow-up does tend to slow things down a bit as we start to really slip into the psychological paranoia of this thriller. Javier Bardem is doing an excellent job with De Niro's character, and he exudes the right amount of gravitas and chills to make that role his own. Now, the musical score is obviously based off the original from the 1962 film, but I do feel like it's overused a bit here. There's also the situation involving some scenes being overly stylized with the camera work. And that scene with Tom is a good example, where he heads outside and looks around, because it feels like the technical aspects of that scene are kind of overshadowing what that's supposed to represent. The camera frantically does extreme close-up shots and quickly jerks around, making everything feel overly dramatic and a little bit cheesy without adding much to the story. I can't help but feel perhaps a longer shot or lingering scenes as we slowly cut across the garden would have been a better choice here. However, the plot itself is where this one is really starting to come into its own. This certainly isn't going to be a thriller with lots of unanswered questions, and we've already seen across these first two episodes that the show tends to divulge a bit too heavily into exposition. Now, obviously with any story you do need exposition, but in the case of Cape Fear, we've had information repeated to us numerous times. For example, in episode 1, we learn 3 separate times that Tom and Anna were on opposite sides of the courtroom and married each other. And information like this is repeated constantly in this show, and it just feels a bit clunky. That's all before mentioning how we're told numerous times that Zach has issues at school, which is then addressed in this episode. Now, to be fair, this could just be early season issues that could iron themselves out later on in the show, and the way this one closes out in episode 2, it certainly does set everything up for what should be an intriguing little thriller on Apple TV. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.